Hi, guys. So, welcome to my weekly tarot reading, guidance reading. I'm doing these every week on a Sunday to give us guidance, help us navigate the week ahead. I've been reading tarot now for 30 years, just over 30 years. And I find that when we're in times of uncertainty and we're not sure which direction to take, the cards can often give us a new perspective, a different perspective, a perspective that comes from the unconscious to enable us to navigate some of the things that we are going to be facing this week, especially as we're so much in the unknown. So this is a opportunity to kind of dive deep into the cards and have a look at what the cards have in store for us, or the week has in store for us, and what the cards have to say about this week, the 5th to the 11th of April. So I hope you've all been having a lovely day. We're in England and the sun's been shining, and it's been an absolutely glorious spring day. The birds are singing, and it does feel like all of nature is waking up now. And staying indoors and being isolated is very, very contrary to what's happening for the rest of the nature around us. And it can be difficult to um, feel this expansion that's going on externally and having to retreat internally. So these cards will give us some guidance to help us on our journey. I'm shuffling the cards. This is a way of clearing the energy and making sure that the energy is clear. So once the cards are shuffled, I take them. Sorry, I just dropped one. Okay, so I just take the cards and I just spend a moment just connecting to the cards. These are the Osho Zen Tarot, and the Osho Zen Tarot is from Osho Rajneesh, and these are cards that I've been using for many years now. I find that they give us a much clearer idea and much clearer messages than the traditional tarot, which I feel are quite outdated. They use symbology that is very religious, and I feel don't it doesn't correspond or connect with where we are moving as a consciousness. So these are great cards to use to get deeper into what's going on. So just taking a moment to reflect. Just coming down into stillness, taking a moment of pause. And then I always cut the pack 3 times, which I'll just do on my computer. And then I put it back in any order. And I always tap it 3 times just to seal the energy, seal the intention, asking the cards for their guidance for this coming week. And then a number from 1 to 10. And the number that's coming up is 4. So we'll use 4 today. So we're going to pick 5 cards. And the first card is a card for the week. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the same card that we pulled last week, which was playfulness, which I pulled, sorry, for the healing cacao ceremony, was playfulness. And it's funny that it's coming out today as well. And it's a very apt card because it's to remind us to stay playful, to stay light, to keep the energy light this week. And we've got a Libra full moon coming on Wednesday. And with all full moons, the energy is ramped up on the planet, and it can also illuminate some of the injustices that are happening and show us where we are not in balance. And so the playfulness card is a really fantastic reminder to keep it as light as we can, to recognize all the magic that's happening around, even though we're in it can be quite dark and negative. There's an amazing loads of blessings are happening at the same time, and it's enabling ourselves to see the glass being half full and half empty. That can help us navigate this week. So taking this week with playfulness, making sure that every day you find something to remind you of how wonderful life is. I have a mantra, and my mantra is I love my life. And I went through a very dark period in 2010 and 11, super dark. And And in order to make every day feel special or have something to hold on to, I would say I love my life and have something to say that about every day. So for the next week, an exercise that you can do to help you stay upbeat is to find one thing in your day where you just say, I love my life. Whether it's your kid giving you a big hug or doing their homework or being able to get outside in the sun or seeing a beautiful flower open up, whatever it is, it can be small, it can be big, it can be anything, but it's something to remind you that you love your life. And I find that when we have an attitude of playfulness, when we take things lighter, then we're able to make clearer and better decisions, and also be able to cope with the situations as they come up. It gives us a lot more spare capacity. So keeping it playful this week is really important. So the next card that I'm going to pick is a guidance card. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's success. So this is a week of also recognizing our successes. And success is an interesting one because very often success has been tied to how much money we have in the bank, or whether we sign that deal or not, or what we've achieved. But in this isolation, we haven't really achieved, we're not really achieving. So what successes are you doing every day? Recognize every day a success, even if it's just getting out of bed, taking a shower, getting ready for the day. If it's that you've been feeling ill, but you're feeling better now, whatever the little successes, is recognizing them as successes. So often we can feel very useless, especially if we're not working or things have happened that no longer makes us feel worthy. It's finding the little successes in every day. And all these little successes are what makes the big success. So it's recognizing that regardless of the situation, there's little things that we're achieving every day in these new situations that we can attribute success to. So don't allow the depression to get too heavy if you can, by just recognizing all those little successes that you can do on a daily basis that keeps your life moving and revolving. So success is an important one to hold on to this week. Let's pick another guidance card. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's consciousness. And this is a very beautiful card. It represents Buddha, and Buddha going up into the beyond the stars and into that space of quietness. And for me, this card represents bringing a new kind of consciousness into the situation. So recognizing our limitations, our weaknesses, our shadow sides that might be coming up over this week, and putting more of a becoming more conscious about it, more accepting of who we are, taking personal responsibility, forgiving others around us that might be irritating us or where we're feeling frustrated. Consciousness reminds us to rise above some of the things that normally would irritate or frustrate us, in order to find a more peaceful, calm state of mind. So it's also saying to take more personal responsibility if things are getting out of hand energetically, then going out for a walk, hugging a tree, going barefoot on the earth and feeling Mother Earth's electromagnetic energy rising up through you. It also reminds us to do some meditation, to find some times in stillness, especially if you're around a lot of people. It's finding that time, even if it means getting up super early in the morning and just going outside into the grass and just having some time out for yourself. But to meditate and have some time in silence, so that you can hear your own inner wisdom, your own guidance, and your own truth, and also to calm any stress and anxiety or panic that might arise over this week, and recognizing the consciousness around it. This is a very powerful time where we are being forced to retreat and look inwards. And there's a lot of things happening on the internet, but the consciousness card also reminds us to remain in a state of awareness. It also, for me, represents a shift in consciousness that's happening right now, as we slowly let go of how life was and facing a new way of looking at life. having a break, some time out to reflect, to integrate, to recognize and see what's happening. So this consciousness card is a reminder that maybe the way you're looking at life is not useful for you anymore. How you looked at it, how you saw life, maybe that's all ripping apart. And you're starting to see the world a totally different way now, in a totally different perspective. So it's becoming aware also of this shift of consciousness, the shift of awareness, of perception, of perspective of life, and giving yourself some time to allow this new way of looking at life to infiltrate more into it, into who you are and what your actions are. So it's taking this week with a shift in consciousness, and recognizing that that might also be happening, especially as we're having this Libra full moon, and it's a super moon, which means it's really close to Earth, the closest to Earth this year, the moon. So it's going to have a big influence on us. And when we come with a sense of consciousness, we'll be able to surf this wave much easier, be much more easier. So let's look at a lesson that we're needing to learn this week. The lesson that we're needing to learn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inner voice. So it's a perfect voice, the lesson. So there is just so much noise out there. I've been talking about this in my newsletters. There's so much noise, so much information, so much contradictory information, that the inner voice card is about listening to our own inner truth, our own wisdom, our own experiences, and our own inner voice. This is really, really important because we can get very, very confused. We can get very worried. There's a lot of conflicting information flying around at the moment. So really, it's important to know and find our own inner anchor and our own personal inner belief system. So this is about going inwards and listening to your inner voice, and taking a breath and allowing yourself some silent time, some peaceful time to actually hear your inner voice. It also is a message to act on it. Whatever your inner voice is saying, especially as I keep mentioning, it's a full moon. So obviously, this reading is being influenced a little bit by this full moon that's coming up, because under a full moon our intuition is stronger and often pushes us further and has lots of messages for us. So if your intuition is getting stronger right now, really do follow it. And it can be anything from someone popping into your mind and giving them a call, writing that email, doing some volunteering, or even if it's going to the shops, whatever it is, it's following that inner voice when you hear it call you. Going online, joining an online course, joining an online event. Our intuition guides us to what we need to do, and our inner voice is also directly connected to our self-love. The more we love ourselves, the stronger our intuition. It's like a muscle. In order for our intuitions to be strong, we need to work them out. We need to work out, just like any muscle in the body. In order for it to get strong, we need to work on it. So likewise with the intuition. And the more you follow your intuition, the more you listen to it and act on it, the stronger it becomes. And the more we love ourselves, the more we do follow the intuition. So this is about going into training this week on listening to your intuition every day and just following it. Sometimes it will make sense, sometimes it might not make any sense at all. But when we start listening to our intuition, when we start following it, we start recognizing how it's guiding us on so many levels. And that is because our intuition is directly connected to the collective unconscious. So it's the intuition that's connected to everybody. It's a heart-based voice, so it's connected to everybody, to the collective. Whereas our rational mind it's about the ego and our personal experience. So when we make choices from our mind, it's from our own personal experiences. But when we make choices from our intuition, it's the intuition that's connected to the whole and the collective, because we're all one species and we're all connected as one thought. So the intuition is there to guide us and to take the next steps. Also, when you set your intention, so for example, you want something to happen in your life, your intuition will be prompting you to make that happen. So you put a destination out, and then your intuition will suddenly say, oh, call that person, and you don't know why that person's coming to your mind. And many of us just, you know, put it to the side, don't really think about it, but that person might be directly related to or connected to some way to the intention that you set, because it's our intentions that it's our inner voice, our intuitions that are guiding us through for our intentions to be realized. So the lesson to be learnt this week is to follow our intuitions, to follow our inner voice. But often we need to find that silent time in order to hear what our inner voice has to say, which is why coming into consciousness, having time in meditation will really help us to listen to that intuition. So, picking the next card, the final card, which is the moving forward card. And this is an action card of what we need to be doing this week. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Receptivity, which is a great card of moving forward. It's actually fits very well with the inner voice, and it actually fits really well with the reading, because the receptivity is about coming out of our mind and back into the intuition or the fluidity of the feminine intuition, the yin. So it's all about surrender, receiving, and allowing the energy to flow through us and being receptive to the situation that's happening. So rather than fighting what we can't change, it is really about honoring what we can and allowing our intuitions to guide us, allowing that receptivity. When we fight a situation, when we go up against it, we lose a lot of vital energy, life force energy. When we can surrender and accept and allow the situation to unfold without fighting and listening to our intuition, we become receptive, we remain calm and peaceful and healthy. So this is a very important message to receptivity, to remain receptive this week, not to get too stressed or anxious, panicky, or fearful. When you do, if you do feel that, then coming into a 7-11 breathing, which is breathing in for 7 and out for 11, will immediately calm some of that stress and panic in order for us to then listen to our intuition, our inner voice, in order to know what to do next, and also to understand that that's the shift in consciousness, and recognizing that that shift in consciousness is enabling us to hear our inner voices more. Acknowledging the successes that we have this week, all the little successes, letting go of things that might have happened, that could have happened, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, last words of the Buddhas, whatever was in the plan, you have to let it go now, because we're in a totally different game at this point, and it's really recognizing that. And in order to be able to do that, the theme of playfulness, which actually has come up quite a lot this week, has come up again. And this is also because it's the beginning of April. This is where you see all the March hares. This is a time for coming out, for playing, for enjoying the spring, for bringing in the magic. And I find that when there's a lot of isolation, or when there's negativity or kind of a dark storm, the the growth and the blessings are as powerful as the burdens. So if you are going through a few very difficult burdens right now, then this card is to remind you that there is an amazing blessing embedded in the burden. In fact, you cannot have a burden without a blessing, and you cannot have a blessing without a burden. So accepting that the burdens are there, but recognizing that there's an enormous blessings in that. And when we can see the blessings, then our glass becomes half full and not half empty. So these are the cards for the 5th to the 11th of April: playfulness, success, consciousness, inner voice, and receptivity. So very apt cards. I do feel to pull a final card, which is the unseen card, the unconscious card for the week. This is what's fueling us in our collective unconscious, and what we should know for the underlying unconsciousness, the underlying collective unconscious program that's happening this week for us. And this is stress. So, again, very apt, reminding us that also in these times of isolation, we can also take on too much. We can have too much of a routine, push ourselves too hard to get things done, to be active, to be online, to get our work done. So it's really recognizing not to get too stressed with some of the situations that might come up this week, which is why listening to the voice, which is the lesson that we need to learn, will really help to mitigate some of that stress. And I love the picture of the stress card. It's a clown again, the same as the playfulness, but this time the clown is juggling so many candles and so much noise, and the monkey mind is about to burst the balloon. It's a brilliant representation of stress, and in order to calm that stress, which was what I was saying, is listening to that inner voice and being receptive to the energy, to what's happening, surrendering, uh, accepting the situation as it is and not as we would like it to be, recognizing that we're going to have to shift into a different state of consciousness in order to recognize the changes that need to be made, and keeping it playful and light. So yeah, becoming aware of the stress this week, the stress levels, and setting, if you are finding that your stress levels are getting higher, or have reached certain levels, then taking time out, recognizing that, being conscious, recognizing that, and taking some steps in order to calm down some of that stress and anxiety, especially if it's situations that are beyond your control. So allow it, going out in nature, connecting to a tree, all the things that I've said before will really help to mitigate the stress. So there you go. This is our cards for this week. Very, very, very beautiful. And I'm wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. It's going to be a very powerful week. We've had Jupiter and Pluto starting to conjunct this weekend. We've got Libra full moon on Wednesday. We've got Easter. Lots of energy on the planet right now, ramping up. A lot of shifts happening. So I hope that this reading has helped you navigate the week ahead and the unknown. And I look forward to meeting you next week, and seeing what the cards have in store for us next week. Wishing you all a wonderful week ahead. Bye for now. Stay safe.